Welcome to Marketing and Mindset for Wellness Coaches, the podcast for health coaches and wellness entrepreneurs just like you who are building a business, making the world a healthier place, and designing a first-class life. I'm your host, Kim Foster, MD and certified business coach, and I'm on a mission to help you uplevel your strategy and raise your mindset so you can truly thrive and grow your business. Let's get started. Well, hi there. I hope you're having a really great day today. I am having a fabulous day. And I have to tell you, I'm having a ton of fun doing this podcast and recording these episodes for you. And I want to thank you for letting me share this time with you, for letting me into your life through your phone or your earbuds or speakers in your car or however you're listening to me. Now, today's episode is a really juicy one. I'm going to be talking to you about one of my favorite topics, and that is money mindset. I absolutely love talking about money, about wealth consciousness, about all the fascinating and complicated relationships that we have with money, as women, as coaches, as entrepreneurs, and particularly as people functioning in the wellness space. It's endlessly fascinating to me. I'm going to walk you through a process to help you transform your beliefs about money because there is a very good chance that you've got some beliefs around money that are just not serving you. And worse, may very well be standing in your way of creating success in your coaching business. Now, you may not know what I'm talking about when I say money mindset, and it is a very vague, sweeping term, but it refers to the general way that we each approach money and think about money and interact with money and invest money and attract money, all of those aspects and more, really. I actually had no idea how much work I had to do personally in the arena of money mindset until I really started learning what it was all about a couple of years ago, and then began to understand how many issues I actually did have and how much it was holding me back. So this is something that, to be honest, I'm still working on. And in fact, I imagine I'll always be working on, especially at each new income level. So I am not perfect in this regard, but like I say, it is one of my favorite things to talk about and to help clients with. So let's dive in. Now, I recently went to a conference in Las Vegas. It was a coaching conference for women. It was very high end and very high vibe and just a ton of fun. And I decided to upgrade to business class for my flight home after the conference. And the universe rewarded me for that decision, even though I almost didn't do it. So during this conference, we were asked to come up with a specific lifestyle goal that would represent our biggest aspirations and formulate into a manifestation statement. And then we walked around the room talking to at least 10 different people that we hadn't spoken with yet and exchanged our manifestation statements. So what I said to 10 different strangers out loud for the first time ever was that I intended to always fly business class. Now, at that point, I had only flown business class once, and it was a free upgrade, one of those fantasy dream come true things on a flight from London to Vancouver. It was 9 hours of bliss, and I've seriously never been the same since. Anyway, when I checked into my flight after this conference after Vegas to head home, I was checking in online and I was given the choice to pay an extra $250 to upgrade to business class. Now, I've checked into dozens of flights online and I always just click buy this option when it's offered. But this time I hesitated. I had literally just spoken my intention out loud to a whole bunch of strangers that I was going to fly business class. And here I was being offered the option. So why was I even hesitating? Now, like I've said, I have done a ton of work on my money mindset and my wealth consciousness in recent years, but clearly this was a piece I still had to work on. And I realized that it all had to do with my identity. When I looked inside, I realized I had a story that said that business class was for other people. It was for people who were way wealthier than me, or who were very high up in a company that was paying for their trip, or, whatever. And I didn't even realize that I had this story until I was faced with that little option, that step on my check-in process that asked me if I wanted to upgrade. And I almost rejected the call because of my mindset as someone who hadn't necessarily earned the right to be in business class yet. I could manage the $250. That really wasn't the problem. The problem was that I still had an old story about money going around in my mind. I did not yet have the identity of someone who flies business class. It was so interesting. And once I recognized what was going on, I clicked yes. I paid the money and I upgraded. And oh my God, it was the best decision I've ever made. For one thing, you could not wipe the grin off my face for the entire flight. I mean, it wasn't just a very long flight, but still, it was just so pleasurable. But even better than that, because it gets better from there. The very next day, I had a brand new client come to me out of the blue and enroll in one of my private coaching packages, my top line offering, actually, and she paid in full. Now, the old me would have said that this was a coincidence, that those two events were not related. That was the scientific me would have said that, the logical me. But the new me, although she's actually not the new me, she's actually the original one, the OG me. And I may talk about that a little bit later. I certainly will talk about that more on this podcast. But she was all, that was no coincidence, sweetheart. So in today's episode, I want to talk to you about how to expand your money mindset. Because if you want to make money, and I bet you do, the very first thing that needs to happen is you need to bring your money mindset to a whole new level. I know you might be thinking, no, Kim, what I need to do is make money first, and then I'll have an upgraded money mindset. But the truth is, it's actually got to be the other way around. Because unless you have an abundant money mindset, you will be blocking your own ability to make money. But don't worry, I'm going to explain all of this as we go. Many women have a love-hate relationship with money, and many of us hold on to a lot of old stories and mindset blocks that really hold us back from stepping into a first-class life of abundance and wealth. I absolutely love empowering women to uplevel their money mindset and really to stop thinking of wealth as a dirty word and create the prosperous life of their dreams. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about a number of things. First of all, we're going to talk about what your own money story actually is, because we all have money beliefs, whether we're aware of it or not. And we're going to talk about how those money belief systems are holding you back. Then I'm going to talk to you about 3 unbelievably common money mistakes that I see people making all the time, including one counterintuitive change that women do tend to resist but really must make if they want to succeed. And then I'm going to talk about how to reprogram and expand your money mindset, which will pave the way for more abundance and wealth in your business and life. But before we get into that, I just want to give you a little explanation on my own particular background in my own money story and my money journey. So the truth is, I don't come from money. My grandfather was a Welsh coal miner, and my parents came to Canada from the UK with no savings at all in 1969 on a boat. And that's because Canada was the new world, lots of opportunity. And my dad had just finished his apprenticeship in engineering, but had never gone to university and was having a hard time finding a job. So they came to Canada to just start a new life. They were definitely immigrants. Now, we weren't poor growing up. We were totally fine, but I always had a very acute sense of having quite a bit less than my friends. I grew up in Oakville, a very privileged community just outside of Toronto, but it was actually by accident. My parents lived in Mississauga at the time, which was definitely not a privileged city at the time. And when they were searching for a house, they unwittingly ventured over the town border to buy a house in a brand new development just one street into Oakville. But the way that the catchment border went, I went to school with and became best friends with some extremely wealthy kids, like old money wealthy. One of my best friends, her father was the head honcho of Ford Canada, which was based in Oakville, and they lived in $1 million house. And in the 80s, that was insane. And her parents went on vacations to exotic places like China for their vacations and came home with a massive silk china rug that adorned their front foyer. And I know because when they went on their next vacation and Christine was having a party at her house, we rolled up that very expensive imported rug to keep it safe. And another of my best friends, her great grandparents founded the Toronto Star, like the actual original people who created the Toronto Star, which is a huge newspaper. From that has a long history in Toronto. Anyway, she lived in the largest estate in Oakville. There were 4 family houses on that estate. Multiple generations lived on that estate. There was a tennis court and a private beach to the lake and an indoor swimming pool at her grandparents' house and an outdoor swimming pool, like crazy, crazy wealthy family. So I definitely grew up feeling less than, and I know that 100% influenced my own money story. Added to that, the way my mom would talk about families that had money was as though they had some kind of magic or divine ordainment. It wasn't really for people like us. Some people had it easy, and that's just the way it was. This also originates from my British parentage, that there are classes. They're very distinct classes. You just don't climb, you don't step out of your station. That's just how it is. Now, later, of course, when I went into medicine, I thought that I would be fine for money. And I would have been had my career in medicine been fulfilling enough for me, which sadly it wasn't. And if you are interested in that story, you can certainly go back and listen to my previous episodes. My episode number 2 is where I talk all about my story, my disillusionment with the healthcare system and what caused me to pivot. But suffice it to say that when I realized that I needed and wanted to carve out my own path outside of traditional medicine and build my own business, I suddenly had to face all these money demons that I hadn't had to face before if I really wanted to be successful. So all that said, let's get into those money demons. Let's take a close look at your money story. Now, everyone has a belief about the basics in life. For example, about religion. You can probably put a name to your own personal religious belief system, even if it happens to be agnostic or atheist. Money beliefs are the same, except nobody really talks about it, and certainly nobody gives names to different money belief systems, and many people aren't even really aware of their money beliefs. But we all have stories that we repeat to ourselves and to other people, whether we realize it or not, especially when it comes to money. And it's important to begin to see these stories for what they are. Stories. They are not the truth, but the more we repeat them to ourselves consciously and unconsciously, the more we make them be the truth. Basically, they become self-fulfilling prophecies. These money stories are often ones that we absorbed in childhood or early life, like my own story that I just told you. They follow us into adulthood, however, and that's where they sabotage us financially. So what I want you to do is to find your own individual money story. So to get started, let's take a look at some common money beliefs that trip people up. Here's a list of some common core beliefs around money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is evil. I'm poor, but at least I'm a good person. Money is in short supply. Money only comes from hard work. Rich people are greedy and dishonest. Rich people are seldom happy. Money is something other people have. I'm no better than my parents, so I shouldn't make more than they did. I can't handle or manage money well. If I'm successful, my friends will be jealous and stop liking me. Only dreamers think they can get rich, but I am a realist. I feel safe being poor. It's dangerous to be rich. The more money I have, the more problems I'll have. It's impossible to have it all. So I'm wondering, as I read through that list, if any of those resonate with you. Of course, that's not a complete list. There are many more money beliefs and money stories than this, and you'll probably have many others of your own. But money beliefs are often buried deep in your subconscious. They're usually so deep they go back a long way. back to childhood specifically. And often these beliefs aren't even yours. They're beliefs that you inherited from your parents and your grandparents. So, for example, here's another one of my own from my own childhood. I mentioned growing up surrounded by some very wealthy friends. And since, of course, I realized that my dad was the sole breadwinner in our family, at least when I was really young, I kind of started begging him to make more money. I wanted to go to Disney World like my friends were going. I remember sitting at the dinner table and asking him if he was going to try and get a promotion once I was old enough to understand things like that, and asking him to try to climb higher in his job, to climb the corporate ladder. And his response was very firm. He said that he had no interest in doing that, that it would represent working even harder than he was, and he didn't want to do that. He was not interested in going in earlier to the office, staying later, working harder like the people above him who were climbing the corporate ladder. He said he had watched them and he saw how hard it was, how they sacrificed their families, their health, and he wasn't going to follow in their footsteps. Nope, he was perfectly satisfied where he was, and working harder to make more was not what he wanted to do. And, of course, fair enough, right? However, the message that I received and what I heard from that, and we had many conversations along these lines, the message that I heard was that making money is hard. It means sacrifice. It means being miserable. So I absorbed that, definitely. In my mind, I understood that if you wanted to make good money, it was going to be very hard. And it would be an either or situation. Either be happy or make lots of money. So interesting, right? Very juicy stuff when I reflect back on it now. And really, it's amazing that I only realized this in my 40s when I started looking into and investigating my own money mindset. Just decades of this programming working away in the background, and I just didn't realize it. And I bet some of you right now have this same mentality that I was just describing. I think it's kind of a Puritan thing, working hard to make money. And the flip side of that coin is that if you are not working hard for your money, maybe you're doing something kind of underhanded. It has to be hard in order for you to deserve it. And that little gem right there is why a lot of people sabotage their own success. So let's take a closer look at some of these other money stories. Let's examine the story that money is the root of all evil. Now, if you heard this one growing up, and perhaps you did, because many of us did, let's take a look and get curious about it. Is this true? Is money evil? Now, as Jen Sincero in her book, You Are a Badass at Making Money, which is an awesome book, by the way, and I definitely recommend it. But she says, money is a unit of measurement used in the act of giving and receiving. Contrary to popular belief, money itself is neither good nor bad, friend nor foe, filthy nor clean. It's just blank, minding its own business. Money is just the messenger. It's what you do with it and how you think, feel, and speak about it that give it a personality. And depending on the personality you give it, you're either going to want to surround yourself with it or stay the hell away from it. End quote. Pretty great, right? Really think about it, because the truth is money is neutral. It's the currency of our world. It's how we exchange goods. It's not evil. And to believe this story is only going to harm you, because if you believe this story that money is evil, then you're going to be pushing it away. You're going to have a split energy about money, and you're going to resist it on a day-to-day, moment-by-moment basis. A similar story is when you say things like, I'd rather be happy than rich. When you say that, you're only sabotaging yourself because you're making it mean that you can't have both. Where is it written that you can only have one or the other? Who created this law? To me, those things are very independent. Personally, I take a stand for the and. Why not be rich and happy? Another typical money story is the doomed story, like I never win anything or I can never hold on to money. These statements reflect a very disempowered victim mindset. And of course, that's a problem because stories have the power to affect your everyday micro decisions. If you believe that you're financially doomed, you're not going to take a risk or put yourself out there because what's the point, right? It's never going to work. And of course, I'm going to spoil the ending here because if you act that way, guess what's going to happen? Yeah, you will never achieve the financial success you want. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You make it be the truth, which then gives your brain the opportunity to be all, oh, see, I knew I had bad luck when it came to money, because you have literally created the evidence to support the belief that you started with. Women in particular have a lot of problematic money stories. Many of us have grown up with various insidious messages about how it's totally okay, in fact, more than okay, for a man to be ambitious. But for a woman, not so sure. One thing I noticed when I was sitting in that business class section recently, in our 12-person section, there were only 2 other women. Ladies, we can definitely do better than that. Okay, let's dig a little deeper and take a look at how these money stories that we've been talking about can actually get in your way, how they can block you and sabotage your financial success. Let's take a look at 3 common money mistakes that I see women making all the time that are direct results of low vibe money stories. And it's the kind of thing that's keeping us out of that business class cabin, to be honest. So anyway, mistake number 1 is doing it all yourself. Now, when women have a money story that making money is hard, that often leads them into kind of a slave girl space where you're working like a dog and you're doing everything yourself without outsourcing, because underneath everything, you're resisting the more easeful path. You're operating with that mentality that says that you've got to hustle, because everybody likes to use the word hustle these days, but it's that mentality that you need to work hard in order to deserve your money. So you don't get help and you don't delegate and you don't outsource. And that is a setup not only for burnout, but also for bottlenecking your own financial success. See how that works? Instead, I encourage my clients to ask themselves, how easy can I let this be? Getting help and support and outsourcing and finding an assistant who can help you, which will actually free you to do more high-ticket work, that is the CEO way. There's something about women that makes us want to martyr ourselves, do it all on our own, possibly because we can, but also because we believe we should. But take a look at this. Are you doing all the tasks that somebody else could do for a lower fee than you could charge when you're working in your own zone of genius? That would open up that bottleneck. This might look like hiring a bookkeeper or hiring an assistant who can manage your business emails, or maybe it's getting more help at home to free you up to work in your business more. I mean, sure, you can do the laundry, but if you can hire somebody else to do it for you for a fraction of what you can make in your business in the same amount of time, isn't that the smarter thing to do? Money mistake number 2 is undercharging clients and working for peanuts. This is a biggie, and it definitely afflicts women entrepreneurs in particular. And so many of my clients suffer this problem when we start working together. They feel like newbies, or worse, they have that imposter syndrome thing going on, which means they're undercharging. And that means that they're choking off their own success. They're just working too hard for too little reward and getting burned out. I want to tell you a story to explain this. There was a woman that I met at the conference in Vegas that I've been talking about, and she is an esthetician in LA. And many years ago, she was working and kind of struggling to make a go of her business, but she gave an amazing facial, full service, really high quality service, including Reiki, and she was only charging $42 for it. That was until one of her clients, who happened to be a business coach, told her that she was way undercharging and told her what she needed to do was create some packages, told her that she should charge $3,000 for her facial packages, not just a one-off facial, but a complete full-service multi-pack with all the bells and whistles. And at first, of course, she thought that that was crazy, but she worked with this coach to put together a really great package and did a bunch of work on her mindset, on owning her worth and having the confidence to charge those rates, and found the boldness to put that package up on her website. And a week later, she got a call from a TV network. They said that they wanted to book her on contract. It gave her a big offer to make her be the facialist for this network. And the reason they said is that they had been looking for an esthetician, had been checking out a variety of local estheticians in the area, and her packages were the most expensive, and that was what they wanted. the most expensive. She told me that it completely changed the trajectory of her whole life and that she now has a very expensive life. Honestly, you just never know. But what I can tell you for sure is that there are some people who are specifically looking for the most expensive thing, that an inexpensively priced service or item makes them nervous. Like they'll feel like it's not going to be very good and they'll just keep looking. Somebody needs to charge the premium prices. Why not you? Of course, before you can do that, you may need to do some work on your mindset, on your own internal deserve level. Now, let's move on to money mistake number 3, which is refusing to invest. This is another unnecessary act of sabotage that we inflict on ourselves. It's nickel and diming and refusing to invest in ourselves and our businesses. Now, this might look like spending a lot of time dabbling in your business and trying to learn what you need to learn in a piecemeal kind of way, downloading freebies or inexpensive ebooks or courses from a bunch of different sources and trying to patch together a marketing strategy and never really finishing the courses because they weren't quite the right fit in the first place. And honestly, being no further ahead after a year, instead of investing in a premium program with exactly the right coach, which enables you to leapfrog ahead in your business and ahead of the competition. Or not investing might also look like not investing in your own health and well-being. So getting cheaper food and lower quality produce instead of investing in the good stuff and the organic veggies, because we all know how that's going to end up when your health suffers. How can you possibly be performing to your best, your most productive self? Or maybe this is trying to DIY your website because that's the cheapest way to go. And even though it's not exactly your zone of genius, so this means that you are spending countless hours on your website and it still looks kind of amateurish, rather than investing in a designer, letting someone who specializes in that take care of it. And at the end, you have a gorgeous high-end website that really supports your brand and attracts those high-end clients who will happily pay your premium prices. Clearly, all these things are acts of sabotage and they're blocks to your own success. Plus, it's really hard to feel confident charging your clients top rates when you're reinforcing this message. You're sending this message to yourself. And that message, of course, is I don't deserve to be wealthy. I don't deserve success. This is why budget class thinking will definitely keep you stuck. So instead, I want you to cultivate a platinum state of mind. Invest in the right high-value tools and resources and real self-care. Send yourself the message, I'm worth it. Now, spending money that you don't feel like you have yet can be scary for sure. Taking these types of risks is about being in charge of your life rather than being a victim. It's about having faith in the universe and yourself. And here's the deal, you don't get anywhere sitting around inside your comfort zone. I'm not talking about spending money you don't have recklessly and living beyond your means and digging a deep hole for yourself with a mindset of fear and denial and no real drive or plan to pay it off. That is definitely not a good idea. I'm talking about being strategic and investing in yourself and your future, because money is a renewable resource. It comes and it goes. In contrast, what isn't renewable is time. Now, when I knew it was time for me to level up in my business, I made the decision to invest in real support, to stop dabbling and to truly go all in. I invested much more than I ever thought I would in coaching and programs that were specifically designed to take me to the next level. And every time I committed to myself to do everything my coaches told me to do to make the money back. And each time I earned back what I had invested within months and kept on growing from there. For example, a little while ago, I invested in a $7,500 program. I thought I was going to vomit when I put that amount on my credit card. But within the first month, by implementing just the first few pieces of that program, I had earned my entire investment back. In fact, almost all of it in one day. In one day, I earned $7,000 just by using the first few steps of the program that I had invested in. Now, if I had waited until I had an extra $7,500 lying around, I would definitely still be waiting. Okay, now I'm hoping that I gave you lots to think about in this episode and lots to work on. And believe me, it's definitely a project, and that is okay. Now, you may be keen to take a deeper dive into this. And so if that's you, I want you to know that this is a topic I definitely help clients with. I work with entrepreneurs, as you know, primarily in the health and wellness space, most commonly coaches, and I work with women one-to-one to help them build a fulfilling, meaningful, and lucrative business. And of course, one of the things we work on is money mindset, although that is just one piece of the puzzle. But if you're curious about what it would look like to work together, I'd be happy to get on a call with you and discuss it. I'll put the link to booking a call inside the show notes here. But also, if you're interested in taking the next step on your own money mindset journey, I have put together a free workbook for you. It's my Money Mindset Makeover Workbook. It's a 25-page workbook with tons of prompts and questions and a step-by-step method for making over your money mindset. And it's really an extension of everything that we talked about today. So to grab that workbook, head over to drkimfoster.com/money and you can download it for free. I'll also put that link inside the show notes. Okay, there you have it. I hope you found this episode helpful. Thanks so much for tuning in. I really love talking about money mindset. It's just such a juicy topic. And I'm sure I'm going to be talking about it again and again on this podcast because there's lots more to dive into. Really, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Okay, this has been fun. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye for now. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode and you're keen to keep building your wellness coaching business, let's start by getting you some more clients. You can download my free guide called 3 Ways to Win New Clients This Week. In this 11-page workbook, I walk you through the simple steps to get you new coaching clients. Just 3 easy things that you can do right away. Visit drkimfoster.com/get new clients to download that workbook for free. That's all for today. I will talk to you in the next episode.